Hello everybody, this is Gareth Cahoon Speaks back here with another video. I'd like you to hit the subscribe bar, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or hit the notification bell to be notified when I post my next post. Or otherwise you can donate to my ministry and the charities that I support at garethcahoon3@gmail.com on PayPal. Or if you want the list of the charities, I would be greatly obliged to give you them. Also, you can look me up on YouTube, X and TikTok. But the best place to look me up is on X and YouTube because other social media sites take my posts down for the silliest of reasons. But they are kept up on X and YouTube. Plus, you have the benefit of YouTube because you'll be able to see my created playlists so you can watch the videos that I watch and see where I get my ideas and opinions from. Why America's socialist movement has Israel in its crosshairs. When it comes to the democratic socialist movement, the agenda laid out is fundamentally economic. Medicare for all, free college, stronger unions, higher taxes on the wealthy, government-funded housing, and a dramatically larger social safety net, even in some cases government-run grocery stores. But increasingly another issue has become deeply embedded in America's socialist movement, opposition to Israel and Zionism. Look at the Democratic Socialists of America, the country's most prominent socialist organization. The connection is impossible to miss. The DSA, the Democrat Socialists of America, doesn't just criticize individual Israeli governments or Prime Ministers Benjamin Netanyahu. No, that's low-hanging fruit. The organisation formally supports the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement, which calls for ending US and aid to Israel and routinely describes Israel as a settler, colonial and an apartheid state. In the last point, the colonialism aspect, where the DSA explicitly tries to connect Palestinian liberation to its larger socialist project. So to understand why so many Democrat Socialists of America back candidates hold strongly anti-Israel positions, you first have to understand that the organisation doesn't view Israel as an isolated foreign policy question. It views Israel through the same ideological lens through which it views capitalism, American military power, colonialism, race and oppression. It's all one and the same, and the Democrat Socialists of America say it plainly. In the International Committee describes it work as follows. The fight for the anti-imperialism is the core to our fight for socialism in the heart of the empire. The Democrat Socialists of America's International Committee supports the fight for anti-imperialism at home, including Palestine solidarity, work and demanding normalization of relations with Cuba. Houses are anti-war and migrants' rights work, development, internationalist political education, and interfaces with left parties around the world to share lessons and learn from each other's practice as socialists. It's the doctrine that provides the intellectual bridge between socialism in America and hostility towards Israel in the Democrat Socialist of America worldview. Capitalism isn't merely an economic system producing inequality at home. It is connected to a global system in which powerful countries, corporations and militaries exploit weaker populations. While America sits at the centre of the system, Israel, as America's closest Middle East ally and recipient of billions of dollars in United States military assistance, is viewed as the extension of American power. Therefore, Palestinian liberation becomes part of the struggle against American imperialism. It's all interconnected. There is, however, a second point of connection that ties the DSA movement to Israel. It's the socialist movement's oppressor versus oppressed framework. The Democrat Socialists of America literature repeatedly describes Palestinians as colonialized population and Israel as the colonizer. Socialists side with the oppressed and describe Israel as the settler colonial state. Now the situation becomes quite clear and the policy implications become predictable. If Israel represents colonialism, the change Israeli policy isn't really the goal for the Democrat Socialist of America movement. The objective is to confront Zionism itself. That helps explain the DSA's embrace of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions brigade, which, by the way, is calling for boycotts of Israeli products. Divestment means to divest from Israel in business and security, and sanctions means to sanction Israel in the criminal court. And these are all evil desires. In 2017, at their national convention of the DSA endorsed the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. It's been called a historical turning point because it marked the organization's formal embrace of Palestinian liberation and opposition to Zionism. 2 years later, in 2019, the DSA established a national BDS and Palestine Solidarity Working Group. There's yet another connection, and that is economic based. The argument coming from the DSA is the billions of dollars that's spent every year supporting Israel's military when the money could instead finance healthcare, social services, and so much more back here in America. But what they're not realizing is that Israel pays for all the weapons she gets, and America benefits because of military equipment being built that is superior to the Americans, and Israel is the one that's building that. What happens in the DSA with it was in the an arms embargo to Israel gets lumped in ideologically with medicine for all Michigan, affordable housing in New York, etc. It's all interconnected. Finally, there's the anti-war politics connection. The DSA's foreign policy is deeply skeptical of American military intervention, defense spending, and what it calls the military-industrial complex. So you can imagine how it feels about Israel, considering that they are a major recipient of American weapons. That makes them, in the DSA worldview, an instrument of American power in the Middle East. What's the end result? Sympathy for the oppressed Palestinians, and with it, the Democrat Socialist of America national endorsement criteria that especially tell chapters to consider a campaign's position on Palestinian liberation. That ideological filtering helps explain the candidates emerging today. Colorado's congressional candidate Millette Chiaros, New York congressional candidate Claire Valdez, and New York State Senate candidate Aber Kawaz have all emerged from the Democratic Socialist ecosystem while they're taking strongly pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel positions. There are many others like them proclicating in politics all over America. So remember that next time you hear about the growing socialist movement, it's not just about eliminating capitalism, it's about essentially eliminating Israel as well. Please take a moment and join others who are praying for Israel at this very moment by adding your light to the live prayer map with a simple click at prayforisrael.com. Shalom, Maranatha, and Hallelujah.